Alright guys, so I wanted to put together a little guide on how to score in World Golf Tour. And I know everybody has their own kind of style, and definitely other top players have their own way, and this is more for the people that have kind of been asking me questions lately. So I kind of want to put everything into one video instead of putting out a putting guide or um, my iron mapping, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of condense it into a video to make it a little easier. Uh, so the first thing I want to show you here, or actually go over, is the importance of having an iron ball mapping. So basically, the more you can get pin high, the more you're going to be able to hopefully make birdies. And that's true for real golf too, but especially in this. And even if you don't ding, if you can get it pin high a lot of times and you're a decent putter, that really is kind of a big thing. So, and knowing which side to miss on too, but overall, that's probably the number one thing to score. And I'll go over some other things, but yeah, that's definitely important. So I'm just going to play out some holes here and kind of show you what I do on my putting, and I'll also kind of show you my formula that I use for the wind and everything. So this is a really simple formula, and if the wind is like this, you don't need to use it. I might add on just a yard because that's all that it would do at the most. So for that, I would just say it's 83. And then for the wedge, for 4 feet, I usually add on 1 with a wedge with the 80, 60, 80, and 100. So for that, I'd add on another 1, okay? So we got 84. So I know that my 82 goes, my 80 goes 82 dot ball, right? So full top, it's going to go about 88, 89, depending on the wind. I mean, if it's a crosswind. So for me right here, I know it's probably going to be about just under half top. Okay, so that's how I go about that. And then for the wind, what I found is really, really easy. So you see the half of that box? That's 5. Okay, so every half you go over is 5 for the wind. No matter what distance it is, I find this to work really well. So here's a 13-mile-an-hour cross. Here's 5. That's 10 there, using that box right there, okay? And so half of that would be about 13 right here, and then I just kind of let it fly. Didn't really want to miss late, but it might be alright. So a little too much topspin. Sometimes certain holes will fly on you more than others, and you just have to kind of remember that. Sometimes it just doesn't work perfectly, but I find it's a pretty spot-on thing. So for me, the best way is reverse chip. I've tried, actually not just reverse chip, I'll go to the front too and take off that kind of middle grid, and that helps, but I always start with reverse chip. I just find it's a good base to start with, and I'll hold on the flag stick and let the lines go through a couple times, because then you'll see the differential in the speed of the lines more. So you'll notice right at my ball, the lines are moving just slightly quicker, and so I'll move my eyes kind of up and down and see where the start of the putt, I think, where I would need to aim at the edge of the cup. Okay, and then I go up a little bit more down the line with my eyes, and I'll think of half a cup and then a cup, and that's how I get putts, generally from 3 feet all the way up to about 20. That's how I do it. I do it a little differently on the longer one. So right here, I think, see where the half cup, the edge is, half cup. I think it's going to be about a cup here. Okay, so that's how I kind of set it, and I'll go back to putt, go back to the front view, and I'll just take a couple more glances to make sure it looks right. It looks pretty good to me. And I'll just take the distance, 5.9 times. For champion, I do 0.68. And then I'll always add on an extra one. I tend to be a pretty aggressive putter. I'll add on one, and that basically will get you pretty much just past the hole. So for me, if I want to be more aggressive, I'll go and I'll hit it 6. And if it's like a scary downhiller, I would just change it to, I just go right at maybe just a bit over 5. So that's kind of get the precise distances there. All right. Now some of you might have your own formula, but I find this to be nearly spot on for me. And you get quicker as you go, but for me I start with a distance, 9, and I just times it by 1.25 divided by 3. And I get that base number, that's for the wind, and then anything over one, if it's 187 yards, I'll multiply it by 1.87. That'll give you the accurate reading for that distance with the wind. So then I'll just minus 187. Obviously it's not negative 179. I just do it that way to quicken things. And from there it's about 1 off because it rolls out. I know it's only 0.2 or 2 feet down. So I'll do 179. And this is where it really comes into play here. Having a mapping is so important. It takes a lot of time, but it's really the key to scoring well. So I got 179 here. Now that's off the tee, which will, to me, flies a little longer than off the fairway. I've kind of figured. So 179. Got 177 with 5 pixels off the full back. So you go to full screen and wait until it kind of inches upward. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's 177, okay? And each of those dots roughly equates to 2 yards, okay? But I find that when I go off of full screen, it's smaller movements. And so if I want to get to 179, I'm going to move that ticker up too. So that's going to make it play about, it's not quite 1 yard, it's just underneath it. But that should make it play about 179. And so now we'll just kind of hope that's right. Usually it's pretty spot on. So that's pretty pin high there. Even if I had missed the ding, I would have had a pretty decent putt. So if you start with hitting the ding, always err to the side of early or late, just knowing which side you don't want to miss on. So, for an approach shot, for instance, there's a shelf that goes way off to the right. You want to just make sure you don't, a ding is great, but just miss early, If it's going off this way, sloping the green, it's going to roll off. I'm pretty confident with dinging stuff, so I kind of go after it. But even still, I'm cautious with certain holes, and I don't want to miss. So I'll purposely try to miss early, and if I get the ding, great. But I think most people are better off playing for a missed ding, especially on putts, for sure. You miss ding too much on your approach, and you're going to lose some distance. But I think, yeah, it really would help most people. So here's a good wind. So I gave you the formula. It was pretty straightforward last time because it was direct tailwind. So I don't have one of those compasses that people have to get the percentage of the tail or headwind or whatever. I just kind of eye it. So from here, I'll do 10 times point. So directly across, that's 0%. right in between here, I say it's 50%, and then straight on, that's 100%. So right about there, you just got to think, do you think it's 50%? No, that's more than 50% tailwind. Is it 60? Maybe. Is it 70? Pretty close. Is it 80? No, that would be too much. It's not quite 80. So then I just settle on 0.7. So it's a 70% tailwind, okay? And then I'll times 1.25 again, divided by 3, times the distance, times 0.55. And so I'll just kind of round up to 2. Okay, so 2 yards off, 53. And I'll go from there. So again, see this box right here? I'll go over. That's 5 right there. And it's going to play about 5. I think it's going to go just a bit over it. So right about there, and I'll hit it for 53. Which one avatar movement with a 60 wedge. Ooh, I'm on punch. That could have been bad. So one avatar movement off is 55 with a 60. Okay. Here's 50. So I'm going to go right about in between there. A little short. But a good leave. Pretty decent. Now the first line is pretty good. You can just kind of unclick and click here and get a pretty good read, but I just started to do this more where I just hold on to it and I let those lines near my feet come through, and it gives a lot better kind of sight of what's going to happen there, because eventually if there's differential in break from the start of the putt to the back, you'll see those lines separate the longer you let those hold on to the flag, or to the pointer I mean, and you'll see right now the lines are off, so it shows that the putt breaks a little more at the feet nearer the start than at the beginning. Okay, so I'll kind of play for that. I didn't do the math on this because I'm lazy, but and now so I come to the front view and you look at it and it just doesn't seem right. It looks like I'm playing too much break. You can kind of just trust that. And if it's split between the reverse showing one break and the front showing another, I'll usually just split the difference and it works out usually pretty well. So yeah, so shorter putts I'll go for more of a ding and just kind of smash it in. Or if it's kind of like, you know, between 6 and 10 footer downhiller, I'll miss the ding. And then, you know, on some long putts, sometimes I'll go for the ding, but other times I'll just leave it right on the hole and miss a little earlier or late. That should be pretty perfect for the 25 pitch. So I find this, if it's flat, 25 pitch goes about 31. Okay, so 5 feet, I'll add on 2. And it's really uphill slope here, so it plays a little more than you think. So this is pretty much just play the 25 pitch flat and hit it. So right here, I'll pick up my landing spot. Might go a little long, but I'm just going to go with it. I probably should put a little bit of backspin, but no, it came up short. Yeah, that slope really does kind of take the speed out of the ball. So with putting here, you know, if you're trying to go for the ding a lot and you're just missing a lot on the putts, I would definitely go to the missed ding style. And level 55 TaylorMade Rosa putter is probably the best for that. You'll see Sabiku use it. There's also, I think it's level 66 putter. That's a little bit more forgiving, I think, slightly than the Rosa. The Rosa is that black putter, and the 66 putter I think is like a mallet style. But those are the two best misting style putters you can probably get. So I wouldn't recommend going with the level like 98 to 100, those red spider putters, whatever you call them, or even the putter that I have. I wouldn't recommend it for a missed ding putter. It's even though I do try to miss the ding, I try to, for the most part, get the best read I can do and aim for the ding. If not, miss a little bit early, but it's not really a missed ding style putter. Okay, so let me start over here. So sometimes I'll just do a quick assessment here. So usually I take 13 and times it by 0.95. That's what I would. But now I just know from playing so much that it's going to be about 12. So I just do a rough estimation because I like to play quick. So, and then I'll just do that from there and times the distance. So 215. 216. So I know right at the bat, 225 full back goes 219 and rolls out to about 221. So I know I need to take off about 4 or so. And that's going to miss too far to the left, unfortunately. I would doubt it's going to hold up. Alright, so I kind of like to be aggressive with pitches. This is one you have to be kind of careful of. It can hit and roll off that. So usually I'll stop right about here for a pitch, but since it's kind of a little testy, I'll go about half on that. I think that's about right with it. So usually I'll go, if it's flat, I'll go about distance. So over 12 yards without the uphill, and I had the spin like I showed you if it were a flat green, like right here, then you would play it for 12 yards and it would almost be bang on, roll past about 3 feet. So for here though, I'm going to give it about 2 extra. So 80% goes 13.6. I think that's pretty good distance right there. Barely missed. So 13, I'll take 13, the median, and that to me looks about 50%, maybe just under 50%, but I know this one plays a little long sometimes. So I'm just going to go 50% headwind, and then multiply it by the distance, 2.24, add on 1. So for 3 feet, every 3 feet up with the irons, I just add on 1. So I'll add on 1 there, plus 224, 231. I'll come to my mapping. And you can try, I recommend, let's see who was asking me. Aim to Win was asking which new ball do I recommend. I think that level 70 Nike is the best one. Because the big, I like the level 90, but the big downfall is got a little bit too much spin. You'll get those kind of WTF shots where they come up woefully short, and it's because of that extra spin. So I think that a little less spin and just about the same distance of the titleist level 70 is going to be really good. And you can even try this mapping and see how well it goes, and then just kind of make little tweaks as you go, because I think it'll end up being pretty similar but just more consistent. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So off the tee here, 231. It's going to land 229, and it doesn't roll out too much. So I think this might even come up a little bit short. Or it might be bang on because I think I overplayed this win. I think it's going to be a little long, but so I'm going to play it for 12 cross. So there's 10 right there, or 5. That's 10. And 12 is just about there. Watch it be, I'm going to guess that it's 2 yards long. Yeah. 4 yards long. I just overplayed the wind, that's all. It was probably 40%. 40% headwind. Alright, so I always go to reverse view. And usually I'll have some notes here. Let's see if I wrote anything down. Right behind the hole, when it shows slight break, it's straight. So that's a good one right there. So this shows slight break. And per my formula, it says it's straight. So maybe what I'll do is just play it on the right edge, because it does really look like it breaks from that angle. So I'll play it for just about 8. And it does break. Well, it doesn't always work out. I wonder what I had written there, because that was like dead right behind the hole. I don't know how it could have not been exactly what that note said. But so we'll take 11. Is it 50%? I know it's not a 6 spread, so 50, is it 40%? I think it's a 40% headwind, so times 0.4. So we'll add on 2, and then about 1.5. Every 4 is 1, so every 4 feet uphill. So 1.5 plus 1.8. Now I know off the bat my 100 goes 102. So just a couple pixels of top on that. Should be bang on. Maybe just a small one. There's 5. There's 10. So real quick here. So you'll see some players that put this thing right on top of it. And I think that kind of messes with my visual. So the one thing you can try if you're missing a lot of dings is take that, when you take it back here, move this above. And I find having that in my peripheral helps my eyes kind of adjust and track that ding better than putting it right on there. And it's better than not having it on there at all. So you might kind of test that out a little bit, but I find that really helps my timing. So 179 plus 6. So if you want to add on 2 for every, or 1 for every 3 feet up, it's this 179 divided by, plus 6 divided by 3. And that, as you can see, gives you exactly 2 extra. So that's a little quicker way to, to get that distance for you. So now this one plays long. So I'm going to add on usually about 3 yards. I'm going to add on 3, 184, and that's probably a 195 full back. Exactly, so we'll give that a shot. There's 10 right there. Got another ding, that's nice. Turn in there, win. Bite, bite. So it just makes it so much easier when you can get pin high. It's really the biggest key to scoring. And then if you're a good putter and you can get it pin high, you don't have to get it that close. Sometimes I don't want to wait that long for the second row of lines over here to get there, so I'll just, if it's a low breaker like that, you can pretty much tell it's not gonna. So right about here is edge, half a cup. Okay, edge. It's about half a cup total. So for me, you see how I get that blue line there? So here's edge right here. Here's half a cup, and you'll see that blue kind of, I don't know, stripe that's right in the middle of the cup. That's how I get it really precise. So this right here is 1 cup. There's 2. See what I'm doing there? So right there is half a cup. And again, I'm getting a different read on the front, so I'll just split the difference and go right on the edge there. So I'm going to hit it. Usually on the down lowers, I'll hit it pretty aggressive if it's closer. If it's a testy one that's like 10 feet, I'll be more careful. But here I can pretty much I can go after it a little bit here. So is it a 60% headwind? You got to think in your head. It's not 50, you know that. Is it 60? Pretty close. Is it 70%? Not quite. So right here, I'll just do, well, that's pretty close to 70. I'll do I'll do a 68%. I think that's pretty solid. In downhill, I don't think it really does much. It doesn't do much when you have a headwind like this, so 194. There's 194 right there. I'll play it for about 8 or maybe 10. I'll play it for about 10 wind. Actually, it looks to be a little bit more. Got another ding. Ooh, almost an ace. So right here, here's this here's my mapping. You know what you can do is take a screenshot of it and save it to Paint, and then just save the file. And you can even upload it to your Google Drive. But what I would do is, yeah, take a screenshot. At the top right of your keyboard, if you don't know how to do it, there's a print screen system RQ if you have Windows. I don't know what it is for Mac, but yeah, hit that. So for instance, you'll hit that screen, and you'll come to Paint, get into Paint here, and then you'll do Control V. And from there, you can either take the whole screen and save it, or you can do this, a crop. Hit that, and then you'll just highlight, hit copy, start a new file, hit paste again, Control V for Windows machine, and there you have it. You have your mapping right here. So, and if you could do it, actually probably the best way, if you want to tweak around it, I'll just give you the file. So just ask me if I forget, and I'll give you the Google Doc, and you can just save it to your computer and copy and paste it, and then you can change the figures yourself in there as you go. Because I think I have it as write only or read only, because I don't want just anybody to change my formula. So I would do that, and then I really think that the formula I use works really well. And if you're not making enough putts, go to that level 55, I think the Daytona Rosa putter, or the level 66, and look that up, and then try my formula. I do for champ greens, it's distance times 0.68. Okay, for a step down tournament greens, I'll do 12 stimp, I'll do 0.73. And if you want other ones, I'll give you that. But so say that it's a 12-foot putt, 12 feet times 0.68 for champ greens, and then it's 5 feet up, I would add on 6. And really that's pretty spot on. And if you're struggling with putts, I might try that, because it really is essential, getting that ball pin high, and then being able to sink some 15-footers really adds up at the end of a round. So I'll have rounds where I'm not playing well, but I'm still getting it pin high and leaving decent putts, and I'm a good enough putter that I'll make them still, and I'll still get in the 50s just because of that. So that's my keys to scoring. I hope it helps, and if you have any other questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to try to help. Thanks, guys.